Well, welcome everyone to Jazz on Sports. The intro isn't working for some reason today, but we're going to get into a lot of great topics today. So, to start off the show, I want to thank everyone for my last week's video regarding Deion Sanders and his potential tenure with Colorado. And they ended up winning 28-3 to their in-state rivals. So they must have heard my video, and they did change a lot of things. But shout out to Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes for getting their W. Their second of the season. So really excited for them. And if you missed that video, make sure to subscribe to Jazz on Sports to get that. But we're going to talk about another set of coaches, another set of programs that do need dire fixing. And that is the Florida State Seminoles and the Florida Gators. Now, if you are new to the channel and if you don't know who I am, I'm Jasmine Pollock, and I'm the biggest Gators fan. So for this is a very touchy subject for me because I've been struggling with this for the past couple of years now with my team. But let's get into some of the dynamics of both these programs. We all know these are very storied franchises that have had a lot of Hall of Famers that have come out of this program. A lot of championships, a lot of great games and great memories have been created in both of these programs. These programs mean a lot, especially in the state of Florida, where we see a lot of the talent. We see a lot of the speed and the athleticism come out of Florida in a lot of these different places. And they have established great moments with these big programs. So when we look at how these programs are performing this year, it is very shocking that as fans, not just Florida State and Florida fans, but sports fans in general, seeing both of these programs going down, it has not been fun for the program. But let's get into a general conversation. So we all know Coach Mike Norvell of Florida State and Billy Napier of the University of Florida Gators. They're both on the hot seat. We all know that. I'm putting a hot seat alert on them, and we're even having conversations of them being fired this week. When we look at Florida State, they are 0-3 on the season, and the Florida Gators are 1-2. And this is the first time since 1955 that both programs have had losing records in 3 games. 1955, people. I mean, that's last century. And we're having this conversation in 2024, which is very scary. And we know that this is a panic button situation for both programs. And finances, the revenue regarding these coaches. So if the boosters, which they are getting together to see how much they have to cover to get these coaches out of here, let's start with Billy Napier. In 2024, if he was fired this year, $26 million. 2025, $19 million. 2026, $13 million. So they're trying to find a way to cover all of that. Now, for Mike Norvell, it's a completely different story. If they fire him this year, that's $68 million. 2025, that's $59 million. 2026, that's $51 million. So if they were to fire Mike Norvell today, right now, this week in 2024, they have to accumulate $68 million. That is a lot of money. And when we're talking about these NIL deals, when we're talking about all these different transfers that are coming in and expecting big paychecks, that's a lot of money. Now, for Mike Norvell's sake, when we look at Florida State, let's start with Florida State a little bit. He has a winning record. He only lost 4 games total as a head coach for Florida State. He has had a winning season. This is the second time that they've had an 0-3 record to start the season. But we look at what they did last year. They were in the conversation of being in the college football playoff. Now, we know they didn't make it in because of, the committee and them making certain votes and decisions. We all are aware of that. But ever since that has happened, Florida State has not looked good ever since. We look at the Orange Bowl where they played Georgia last year. They got destroyed 63-3, and that was the worst loss deficit that they have faced in franchise history in that moment. So when we look at Florida State, they have not been, able to rally around them not being able to compete in the playoffs. And when we look at it, I would expect Florida State to come out and say, you know what, even though we didn't get back this, they didn't give us that nod last season, let's give them something to talk about, especially with the expansion of the college football playoff. I don't understand how that has come about. I don't understand how Florida State has not rallied. They still have some of that talent that they had last year. Now, we all know the quarterback is no longer there. He was drafted, and he was the all-time leading passer, passing yards leader for Florida State. So that was a big deal for them. And then you get DJ. Now, let's talk about DJ a little bit. DJ was with Clemson, and Dabo Swinney won 11 games with him, and Dabo didn't even like him. So for Florida State, if thinking about this is a rival player who played for one of our rival schools at Clemson University. Clemson has run the ACC for the past few years. Now they've had a little dip as well. But when we look at it, I wouldn't have went for DJ. And then you're paying a lot of money for him to be there due to NIL and things like that. And he has not performed the best. And he wasn't the best option. And there is conversations of Florida State making a quarterback change, and if that is going to happen, but we don't know. But when we look at this team on both sides is not good. They can't stop the run. They're 0-3. Let's talk about who they've played. They've played Boston College. They lost to Georgia Tech over in Dublin, over in that first game of the season. Then you lose to a Memphis team at home, and you're at home in both games. So for you to lose like this, it's a very big deal. And for Florida State, this is a panic button, and I don't know how much longer Mike Norvell has. And like I said, we look at the next 3 games that they have. They play California, who's undefeated. That's going to be a tough game. SMU has a winning record. That's going to be a tough game at SMU. And then Clemson, that's going to be a battle game of when we look at that Clemson and Florida State game, that game is going to be which coach can save the program more. Dabo Swinney is also on the hot seat, but that's another conversation. But when we look at that game, that's a game to watch for both franchises to at least say, you know what, we're going to stick with our coach. We'll see. But that game is going to be a game to watch for sure. Now, let's head into my Florida Gators. I'm glad I saved this for last because it's very important. The Florida Gators have been, despite with Florida State has had a winning record. But Gators, we have been terrible for the past few years. We have had numerous coaches that have come in, recycled coaches. The last time we had hope was with Dan Mullen when we had Kyle Trask and Michael Pitts, and we are not the same. The team, the program is not the same. Even in that first game when we played the University of Miami, and Miami obviously right now is the team that is running Florida right now. They're a team to beat, and they might be heading into the college football playoff. They're in the top 10, but in that game, what was so disheartening about it, me watching it as a Gators fan, a rivalry game, an in-state rival game, and we know how big those are in all these states in college football, but to lose in that fashion showed me that we are not disciplined. That shows we are not prepared for these big moments. And if, as you see on my screen, that is our head coach, Billy Napier. I have no personal issue with him, but my humble opinion as a Florida fan, as seeing our program over the years, he does not have a sense of the magnitude of how big this program is and how big these rivalry games are. And I'm going to read some of the records that he has against these rivals. He's 1-8 in rivalry games. 1 of 8. He's 2 of 11 versus ranked teams. He's 9 of 4 against unranked teams, and those have been nail biters. He's 2 of 4 versus Vanderbilt, Missouri, and the University of Kentucky, and he's currently on a 6-game losing streak against those teams. The last time UF had the worst win percentage was in 1946. 1946. So when we look at this has never happened since last century. Again, we're talking last century for both of these programs. And for Billy Napier, let's look at some of his head coaching experience. Now, everyone keeps talking about, when he was at Louisiana, he did very good. I am not disputing that. He did. But it wasn't – Louisiana is not a program like the University of Florida or Florida State or University of Miami, these big power schools. It's not the same. And I feel like when he took this job, he bit off more than he could chew. And for our athletic department and our athletic director, there were so many coaches in that situation. For example, we look at Cliff Kingsbury. We look at a lot of those coaches that we've seen. Now, we know he's with the Washington Commanders, but there were bids for them to come here. And when we look at that, I'm sitting here like we could have had a lot of people. Lincoln Riley even made a bid to come coach for the University of Florida. but now he's with USC, and USC looks like a formidable opponent. They look like a very good team that could potentially compete in the college football playoff. And this is his third season under at USC, and look at where he has them playing. And for us, we didn't think those were the best options. Cliff Kingsbury, Lincoln Riley weren't the best options for this program. And then there's conversation of we want Lane Kiffin. Will we even go for Lane Kiffin? Lane Kiffin has Ole Miss in the top 10. They're going to be a playoff team as well. So when we look at Lane Kiffin, we saw Lane Kiffin. He is a very good coach. He is able to turn teams around, and he's won multitude of championships as the offensive coordinator for the University of Alabama under Nick Saban. What is the Florida Gators going to do? You fire Billy Napier, like I said, you're paying $28 million. You have to find that. I'm sure the boosters can cover that. They're having that conversation now as we speak, hopefully. But for the Florida Gators, we need to get our program back. The program is not the same. That grit is not there anymore. That tenacity that we once had, that feared respect that we had playing in the swamp. No one's scared to come play us in the swamp anymore. No one's scared. We have fans. Last week, we get destroyed by Texas A&M, and these are our 3 games. We play Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State did lose to Toledo, but that could be at Mississippi State. I don't trust us on the road. Then UCF, they're undefeated. They're going to be a good team. Then Tennessee is undefeated. And not only that, we play Texas. We play Ole Miss down the road. We play LSU, Georgia, who are top 10 teams. We have to play them down the road. We have the hardest schedule in the nation. And the way this is looking, I would be shocked if Samford is our only win. Samford is literally going to be our only win this season. And as a fan, it's disheartening because I've seen what we've done. And I even said multitude of times that why don't we give Tim Tebow a call? Just give him a call. Just give him and see where his mindset is. Hey, could you come in and just could you coach our team? I mean, I don't know if Tebow is into that, but that man is University of Florida royalty. Won championships, Heisman Trophy winner, has made multitude of highlight moments for the program. You don't think he could turn the culture around? We need culture. And someone like that, Tim Tebow, bringing him back in that locker room, those kids would have respect. We are losing recruits. No one wants to come play for Billy Napier. We even have some of our current players liking Instagram posts, liking tweets of him getting fired. So he has completely lost the locker room. I don't understand where we can go from here. We fire Billy Napier. We're at square one again. We've been firing coaches left and right. I don't understand where we're headed, but I know for sure if I'm Florida right now, I know the athletic director, a lot of people want him fired as well, Stockland, but what's that going to entail? What are we going to do? Now, if I'm Florida, as a Gators fan, I want Lane Kiffin. I definitely want Lane Kiffin. I think he would be a great fit for us. And then our second option is Lanning from Oregon. I like both of those options right there. But if all else fails, I mean, give Tebow a call. Bring someone who understands the organization, understands the impact of these rivalry games, understands the intensity, how to recruit, and how to win. Why can't we? Why are we hiring people? And this is I think Billy Napier is a very upstanding man. I think he's a very good speaker. He is a very nice guy. But when we need someone to bring that culture back in Florida. And I'm sure Florida State fans are saying the same thing, but they're in a little better situation because they're coming off of a very great season of competing for a national championship, competing for a college football playoff spot. They got to a bowl game. We're not getting to a bowl game. The way our schedule is set up, the way we're headed, we're not going to a bowl game. But for Florida State, it's they have a better situation. They do. I will say that. They're in a much better situation than we are. But for us, we are in a very bad situation. As Gators fans, we are tired of seeing all this stuff. And I speak for all Gators fans. I've seen them on tweets. I've contacted them. I've connected with them on Twitter. We are tired of seeing the same thing every year. And the bright light we had this year was our freshman quarterback DJ Lagway, he threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns against Samford. He was throwing bombs. Last season, we only had 4 plays that went for 40 yards. He had 4 plays alone for 40 yards in one game. So, and then I already knew he lost the locker room when he said, our starter is Graham Mertz. He is a 5th-year our starter, and he's a transfer from Wisconsin. He had a concussion. That's why DJ end up playing. But everyone wanted, if Billy Napier wants to at least keep his job or make it like a conversation, start Lagway. You know what he does? We're going to play both of them. That makes absolutely no sense. You saw the guy compete, and he really wanted to show Florida, like, look, he has an arm, he can run, he can read defense, he's accurate. And you're saying, oh, Graham Mertz is back, we're going to start both. And that is confusing. That's confusing to the offense. That's confusing to everyone. And when I saw the team play under Lagway 2 weeks ago at Samford, the team rallied around him. He was a leader. The way he was in that huddle and the way the guys respected him on offense and defense, they played through him. They played for him. But Napier's not recognizing that because the program is bigger than him. At least go get someone like a Lane Kiffin who's been at a big school like Alabama, like Ole Miss, and knows what it means to win big games. Go get him. Or Dan Lanning from Oregon. Go get him. Go get these people. For Florida, we are in a blunder. We've been in a blunder for years, and the fans are tired. We are tired of seeing this every single year. I look at Miami right now. Mario Cristobal was on the hot seat, but look at how he got people. I'm going to recruit. I'm going to get transfers. I'm going to go get guys. You get Cam Ward, who's potentially in the Heisman conversation, leading the Heisman conversation. Look at what they're doing in Miami right now in his 3rd year. Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal were hired around the same time, and look at where both programs are. One is ascending, one is descending. That's where we're at in Florida. That's where Florida sports are. I don't see us winning any more games, and I'm being quite honest with a lot of you. Samford was our only win, or it's going to be our only win, and it's going to be downhill from here because we're going to be playing tough schools. We're playing Texas, who's the #1 team in the country. They look like they're unstoppable. We're playing Georgia. We haven't been able to stop them for years. Ole Miss, they're going to destroy us. Tennessee, UCF, all these schools we're going to play. And then we had the last game at Florida State. Honestly, Florida State's maybe a tad bit better than us. We're going to lose to them. But that's what I have today. I'm very frustrated with the program. But hopefully a decision is made. I don't like to call for people getting fired, but where these programs, Florida State and Florida, are headed, it's not a good place. It's not in a good direction. And I hope that both programs are able to turn around because every year, Florida State, UF, Miami should be competing every single year. There are too great of franchises to be this bad. But Miami's got it together. They have it together. They know what they're doing. But UF and FSU, especially Gators, have no idea what's going on, no idea what to do, and have no vision of the future. But that wraps up the show. Before we get out of here, I want to finish on a high note is shout out to Asia Wilson for being the first WNBA player to record 1,000 points. Shout out to her. Shout out to Caitlin Clark for being the first rookie to have the highest scoring percentage ever as a rookie. She's broken so many records. I can't even count them on one hand, but shout out to the women in basketball. They're really dominating, and we're going to continue to shed light on them. I have another YouTube channel that I wanted to announce, which is called Courtside Queens. That is strictly a audio, faceless YouTube regarding women's basketball, everything women's hoops. Make sure to subscribe to that. It's called Courtside Queens. I'm really excited that I launched that, and I'm really excited to continue that YouTube channel and give you guys another avenue to look at for women's basketball. Also, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter, Jazz on Sports, on beehive.com, where I talk about inspirational sports stories. I'm really excited to add more to that as well. But we will see you guys next week for more sports talk. Let me know, sports fans, Florida fans, Florida State, UF fans, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen? Please comment. Send me any emails. You can see the email on there at firstimpressionsports@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts. Are you frustrated? Do you think that give them another year? What are y'all thoughts? But that wraps up the show. Thank you all. Make sure to subscribe to Jazz on Sports and see you guys next week for more.